Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. We're going to start here with the New Orleans Saints. Alex K at Bleacher Report did a 2023 stat projection for every NFL starter this coming season. So that's interesting. So scroll down, and of course, I go for Derek Carr. What do they think Derek Carr is going to look like in 2023? And the blurb that Alex K writes, and you can find the story of a Bleacher Report, says, the Saints had their best quarterback since Drew Brees thanks to their offseason signing of Derek Carr. While Carr fell out of favor with the Las Vegas Raiders at the tail end of a disappointing campaign last year, he could experience a resurgence in the Big Easy with a decent group of wideouts that includes 2022 first-round pick Chris Olave and a once-elite veteran in Michael Thomas, who's trying to prove he has something left in the tank. He can put up some surprisingly decent numbers for the Saints. So they project Derek Carr in 2023, 68% completion, 3,900 yards, 25 touchdowns, 13 picks. And so, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have watched every snap Derek Carr has taken in Oakland and Las Vegas. I have not. And I'm not even really going to tell you that I knew exactly where he stood statistically. I had a pretty good feeling of where Derek Carr sat in general terms in the NFL. He's never been one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. He's never been one of the bottom 8 or 10 quarterbacks in the league. He's been right in the middle zone, in my opinion, just from the outside looking in. Well, now he's in. So what would those statistics look like? Well, 68% completion is pretty well in line with what he's been, especially in the prime of his career. In his early 20s, he was closer in terms of completion percentage to 58, 61, 63, 62. But in those 3 years, his 27, 28, 29 seasons, he was pushing 70. He was 69%, 70%, 67%, 68%. And last year at age 31, he dipped down to 61%. But 68% would be towards the top of his career. He's had one season better than that. But his best seasons were right around that. So that makes sense. He's only 32 years old. It's not like he's way over the hill. 3,900 yards for Derek Carr is a tick, like 100 yards under his best years, around 4,000. He threw for 3,270 yards his first year, and then he's been between 3,900 and 4,100 every year, other than one, his entire career, before last year where he dipped down and was 3,500 yards because they benched him at the end of the season. So if he plays the whole season, he's right there in line with that 3,900 yards. So that makes sense. And then you look at the touchdowns to picks, and they project 25 to 13 in terms of the ratio. And Derek Carr, for his career, has been around that. Sometimes a tick below, but never higher than 32 and never lower than 19. Picks, he's been between basically 12 and 14 his whole career. So the point of that exercise of going through numbers, which I know don't play great on radio, is that they're basically projecting Derek Carr to be about what he has been. You talk about change of scenery, change of organization, and sometimes that kicks in for people. I know that y'all don't do a lot of Cubs baseball here, but Jake Arrieta couldn't find anything with the Baltimore Orioles. The Cubs brought him in, and he literally, not literally, that's a terrible use of the word, he nearly became Superman. He was totally unhittable for a year and a half. He was the best pitcher in baseball. He won the Cy Young. That's a change of scenery, a tweak in mechanics, and oh my gosh, we've unlocked a beast. And sometimes that happens, but more than often than not, you kind of are what you are, especially in the NFL when you're 32 years old. So the question is the Derek Carr they're projecting that is pretty much in lockstep with what he's been throughout his late 20s, is that good enough for the Saints? Or are you betting on him emerging and becoming a higher level player? You could look at the organization he was in. Well, it's a dysfunctional organization. They move. They change coaches all the time. They've got a scandal. And no one could succeed in that. He comes to New Orleans. It's stable. They've got the ownership group. They've got the general manager. They've got a core of older players. This will just be, he'll elevate his level of play. So which side are you on? And I would suggest that I think Derek Carr would probably continue on a path where he completes about 68% of his throws for about 4,000 yards, about 25 touchdowns, and about 10 picks. I don't think he's going to elevate to 37 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to elevate to 74% completion percentage. I don't think he's going to drop his interceptions to 3. And I don't think he's going to fall flat and be a disaster. I think Derek Carr is going to be what he's been. The question is now is when you flip it and you say, are the Saints getting elevated play? Are they getting better than Andy Dalton? Are they getting better than Jameis Winston? Are they getting better than Taysom Hill? The answer is yeah. There's the elevation. The elevation is not Carr. The elevation is the Saints roster. And to me, when I look at this, I look specifically at one thing because the situation that Derek Carr was in was not awful from an offensive perspective. You know the names by now. You know that they ran the ball well with Jacobs. You know they brought in Devontae Adams. You know they had Renfro. You know they had Waller. Yeah, they had guys. And the Saints don't significantly upgrade him from that offensive unit around him, but they do elevate the defense. The Raiders' defense in the Derek Carr era, in terms of points per game allowed, has been a joke. A joke. You go back to his first year, defensive rank, points per game, dead last. Then 22nd, 20th, dead last again. 24th, 30th, 26th, 26th. They're almost the bottom of the barrel every year. Now, the Saints weren't great on defense last year. Don't get me wrong. They were not. They didn't stop the run. They were injured at times. Secondary was patchwork. They were not the Dennis Allen Saints defense we had seen the last handful of years previous to 2022. But there's reason to believe the Saints will be at least a middle-of-the-road defense. 15th, 14th. Maybe you really put it together and stay healthy in your 9th. Derek Carr's never had a top 20 defense. Never. Especially in that division against that schedule. So, yeah, when I'm looking at Derek Carr projected stats, I don't expect a huge bump from him. I don't expect him to throw for 5,100 yards. I don't expect him to throw 36 touchdowns. I expect him to be Derek Carr. What the Saints aren't going to be is the Raiders' defense, which has just been awful. And that's why Derek Carr's made the playoffs twice. The two teams that he was with that made the playoffs finished, in terms of scoring defense, 20th in the league and 26th. Be better than that. Beat the Panthers. Beat the Falcons. That's the elevation. Carr doesn't elevate his game. Carr elevates the Saints. And that's the hope. Our opinion on this signing has always been consistent. Don't love it. But you didn't overpay. And I think you're going to get a middle-of-the-road quarterback. The question is, does that middle-of-the-road quarterback get a better defense around him in a weaker division? It doesn't include the Chiefs. Doesn't include the Chargers. Doesn't include the Broncos. That you get that elevation. That's what the Saints are betting on. And I think it's a reasonable bet in 2023. I do. I don't know about 2025 because I don't know what Bryce Young is. I don't know what Desmond Ridder is. I don't know what at that point Cam Jordan is. I don't know at that point what Michael Thomas is. And there are some uncertainties. But the Saints have not been a team that resets to look at the long term. The Saints have been a team that go, okay, what does our team look like? Does this make it better? Sign the check. Trying to win the next game. Trying to be good the next season. And that's what they're betting on. Some people love it. Some people don't. But it is what it is. And again, I think this is an accurate depiction of what Derek Carr could be, and I think the Saints are a favorite to win the division for a reason, because you put him with a little more functional defense and ask him to be the guy he is, that's got to be comforting to Derek Carr to say, hey, you are what you are. That's fine here. That's going to work. You don't have to come in and be Superman. So that's what I think they're going to get, and I think the Saints will be the favorite to win the division there. Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.